Okay, let's get into this. We're doing a deep dive today into a really fascinating way of looking at comedians, at why we laugh. It comes from some source material on something called motion theory.
Yeah, and right off the bat, this theory frames things differently. It's not just seeing society as, people and ideas. It's looking at it as this huge system of, structured motion.
Yeah.
With its own kind of rhythm.
Exactly, a system in motion. And that's the foundation for this source's core idea, which is pretty striking. Comedians aren't just making us laugh. The source actually calls them society's hidden motion balancers.
Which is a big claim.
Right.
So how does it figure they do that? The argument is that comedians are sort of uniquely sensitive to where tension builds up in that societal rhythm, where the flow gets sticky or blocked.
Right, where the motion gets bumpy.
Precisely. Yeah. And then laughter. Laughter is the release mechanism. The source calls it motion resolution, or sometimes rhythmic relief. It's like humor lets off that pent-up social steam.
Huh. So laughter isn't just feeling good. It's a collective reset button, according to this view. And it gets even bigger. The source suggests some really surprising things, like, could making people laugh be one of humanity's most vital evolutionary skills? Because of this balancing thing.
Well, if you follow the logic in the source material, yeah. It connects shared laughter directly to group synchronization. I mean, think about it. When a group laughs together, you get this instant alignment emotionally, even physically for a moment. And this view argues that's super effective for, diffusing potential conflict, smoothing out those social loops, the predictable patterns we fall into. It helps stabilize the whole system's motion.
And the source sees this playing out historically, right?
Yeah.
Brings up examples.
Yeah, figures like court jesters. They used humor to poke at power, point out awkward truths, navigate the court's, rigid movements without causing a full-blown crisis.
Or like traditional storytellers, maybe.
Yeah.
Using shared stories and laughter to keep tribes connected, in sync.
Okay. Exactly. And modern stand-ups, they're still doing it. Challenging norms, releasing tensions that might otherwise, fester.
Now, the source does acknowledge a potential counter-argument. Like, maybe comedians are just clever folks pointing out the obvious. Maybe it's not quite so grand as being balancers.
It does float that idea, yeah. But then it pivots right back pretty strongly. It basically says, okay, what's the opposite of comedy?
Conflict, chaos, things grinding to a halt.
Great. So if that's the alternative, then suddenly comedy doesn't look trivial at all. This perspective frames it as a crucial, gentle pressure valve for society.
It also throws in this idea that maybe comedians themselves are just hyper-aware of these societal rhythms, like they feel the tension more.
Yeah, and that their humor is maybe their own way of coping with it all, of processing the world's, clunky or jarring motions.
Okay, and here's a really interesting bit the source touches on looking ahead. How comedians might actually help us deal with really strange futures.
Like the example of, maybe blending human minds with machines someday. The idea is by finding the humor, the absurdity in these concepts now, comedians kind of prepare us. They help us build a capacity to face the bizarre with laughter instead of, say, freaking out.
Wow, that definitely changes how you might think about a comedy show. It's not just a fun night out. It's, the source calls comedy rhythmic armor.
Rhythmic armor, yeah. And society's silent protector. Because of this ability, it has, according to this theory, to use rhythm and release to keep things from just breaking down.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've unpacked these ideas from the source material, exploring this unique motion theory angle on what comedy does.
And it makes a pretty compelling case, doesn't it? That comedy is, way more than entertainment. It's potentially a fundamental tool for keeping society balanced, stable.
Yeah, the main takeaway here seems to be that in this view, comedy's function is vital. Releasing that tension, getting groups in sync, acting as that essential pressure valve against, chaos.
So it leaves you with a thought to chew on, really. The source suggests next time you find yourself laughing, maybe consider this idea. You're not just being entertained. You could actually be taking part in the basic stabilization of our whole complex social system's motion.